Hi everyone, welcome to the 9th edition of the Weekend Wrap. I'm Totally Speedway's Daniel Powell. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Please like, comment, share. I'm here in Sydney, and in the backdrop we've got a cricket match about to recommence because they've obviously went to lunch. So yeah, but guys, please like, comment, share. We've had plenty of racing. We didn't have there was very little rainouts over the whole weekend. I don't think there was one cancellation due to rain. So across Australia we've had a good run. Plenty of racing going on, plenty of spectacular racing, some surprise results, and yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, I've just got to make sure I can get position right, because I'm going to be talking for about the next half an hour, so I've just got to make sure I can stand and read my notes at the same time. So just bear with me, guys. Yeah, hopefully the wind is pretty windy down here, hence the delay. I've been going over the last half an hour trying to organise a spot where there's not much wind. Also today representing John Lodge Jr., who is racing at the V8 Supercars events up at Newcastle as we speak in the V8 Ute series. So John's been doing really well for someone that's come from a Speedo background and throwing right into the deep end there. So I've just got my John Lodge shirt on, and of course my regular Toby Bilbowen hat, which is keeping me nice and protected from the sun. So first things first, we'll talk about, I will sit down now. Just wanted to introduce myself, and get all those formalities out of the way. So Sydney's Valvoline Raceway, they had last night, I was out there, and that's in Sydney and New South Wales for the Ultimate Pink Night. We had the 5th round of the Ultimate Sprint Car Championship New South Wales round, and that was won by Robbie Farr. It was a case of mixed, experience beating youth, and yeah. So in the end, Robbie Farr got his first win at Sydney's Valvoline Raceway, and he was able to get Matt Dumsney in the late stages. So what happened with that? There was a number of restarts throughout the feature race. One for a number of the podium contenders that have fallen away throughout the 30 laps. Matt Dumsney, he started from pole position. He'd won the pole shuffle. He looked unbeatable, but a couple of restarts there, he made a slight mistake on the last restart, and that enabled Robbie Farr to really get on him and pounce. So yeah, once Matt drifted wide exiting turn 2 onto the back straight, and yeah, in the end he was unable to recover. Robbie got the lead, and yeah, for the final 4 or so laps, Robbie controlled the lead and went on to win. So Robbie, who started second alongside Matt, was wrapped with the win. His second win for the season. Probably would have had a few more. I'm just making sure, I'm just here watching, there's just a cricket game happening in front of me. So luckily it's like a 3rd or 4th grade, so they're not going to like hit a big 6 or something and smash me in the head with a cricket ball. So I think the worst thing's worst, he's going to hit a 4 and that could come and get me. So Robbie Farr ended up winning. Matt Dumsney was second, so Matt had already had a podium finish earlier this season. He ended up second at the Heartland Raceway round for the Eureka Garage and Shed series, and there's certainly a great way for Matt to bounce back after his Victorian title crash last weekend, where he suffered a concussion down at Warrnambool's Premier Speedway. So Matt showed no, other than his concussion, he showed no ill effects from that, and was able to put on, probably I would count, despite not winning, I reckon it was probably his career best drive. And obviously it was a mistake there at the end, but I reckon that was Matt Dumsney's career best drive, even though he has won a feature race previously at Valvoline Raceway. So completing the podium was Ben Atkinson. Ben Atkinson from Darwin in the Northern Territory. He runs for the Graham and Wendy Cowan owned team, the Rocket car, and the Aeroflow car, so his teammate Sammy Walsh. So Ben, he's a multiple Valvoline Raceway track champion, and yeah, this was his first podium in 2 seasons. He completed the podium in 3rd, so he had a good run. He started from position 12. Another guy that come from deep in the field was Grant Anderson. Grant Anderson, his second appearance at Valvoline Raceway, as many people would know how he dominated the season opener back in September. He came from position 15, didn't have the best of time trials, and yeah, consequently had to start made it through to a direct transfer out of his heat race, but consequently had to start from position 15 in the feature race, but was able to move forward and go on and collect 4th place. So just missed out on a podium finish. Marcus Dumpsney, his best finish. He'd been celebrating all week at school this week, but he's managed to come back from that. Flew in Saturday morning, got in the car, made the pole shuffle, the top 8 pole shuffle, ended up 5th. So a good drive. Another hard charging drive was Troy Little, so another former multiple Valvoline Raceway 410 Sprint Car Track champion. He had missed out on a direct transfer from his heat race and consequently had to start in the B main, which he won pretty comfortably. Started from position 21 in the feature race and gone on to run 6th. So a really encouraging performance for Troy Little aboard the Steve Lynch owned car. So with that, and James Thompson ended up 7th. Daniel Sale was 8th after starting from position 17. Andrew Wright, that was only his second drive from his comeback from a neck injury last season when he was on the World Series trial. He came out of the B main 2 with Troy Little, so 2 former leader sprint car racers and arch rivals. He came from position 22 and finished 9th. And Grant Tunks, the budget racer, been racing for close to 30 years now, consecutive seasons, and started from position 16 and rounded out the top 10 there. So the hard luck story was Sammy Walsh in the Rocket sponsored car. He'd started from position 3. He was battling for a podium spot until he spun late in the race, and then went to the rear of the field. Consequently came from the back and ended up 11th. Sammy certainly he was strong all night. He was very quick, but he was certainly up against it. Earlier in the week, in the lead up to this meeting, he had burnt his hand to his right hand, so he was in bandaging throughout. And I was speaking to Sammy, and it was a little bit painful, but mainly the bandaging there was to stop bacteria and all that. So he had a small little fire when he was working on the race car during the week, and that severely burnt his hand. Another couple of hard luck stories was Jordan Brazier and Danny Reedy. Both guys were, for the majority of the first half of the feature race, contending for podium spots, driving really hard. And Jordan Brazier, he's in great form. Danny Reedy's certainly showing his pace, but is unable to take a trick in terms of being able to bring home a result. So he had some bad luck the previous round, and the one before that he had that big crash in the heat race on the main straight. So with that, sorry to scratch it, I've got to hold my nose, scratch my nose, but also move my hand too, because I've got to hold this. I don't have it. I've got a tripod, but it's holding the actual tripod due to being in the wind, trying to get out of the wind. So in the support classes, we had the lightning sprints, and Pete Styles, once again, he upset the form guide and won the Gold Cup a fortnight ago, but then backed that up with another win. So he went back-to-back wins. One of the hardest working guys for the lightning sprints. Very enthusiastic, to say the least. He picked up a win, his second win. Brett Davies got second, and former Australian champion Dean Eden completed the podium in third. Some hard luck stories out of that. Chris Davis, he was chasing after Styles and looking pretty good. We've just got a wicket here, and he's walking. He is disappointed, caught in the slips. So he trudges off. Marvellous catch. Sorry, just turning into Richard Benno there, just ignore me. So back to, so Chris Davis broke a chain while he was chasing Pete Styles and ended up with a DNF there. Jordan Binskin, who was the form driver all night, he'd won both of his heat races. He'd lowered his own track record, but then had a mechanical failure prior to the start of the feature race and was unable to take his spot in the field. In the AMCA Nationals, Shane Cartwright, so the son of 1982 Australian Super Sedan champion John Cartwright, Shane was able to go on with the win there. Second was Wayne Simpson, and the newcomer Justin Hackett was third. Terry Pankhurst was one of the leading contenders. He unfortunately had a DNF due to a component failure earlier in the feature race, and that dropped him out. In the RSA Street Stockers, that was the third and final support class for last night for the Ultimate Pink Night. It was Andrew Espiner, the defending Western Sydney Street Stockers club champion. He had had a wretched start to the season, couldn't take a trick, but this time was able to put it all together, start from up towards the front, go on and lead the feature race. He certainly didn't do it easy. He had pressure from Kiona Sunnerton, who's a former New South Wales champion. She was second, so that's John Lodge's sister. So with that, and she was second, and Chris Marino was third. So it was a great race. You could have thrown the blanket over the top 5. There was Dennis Panner there before he had steering rack issues and dropped down the field. Stephen Walsh, who won the previous round there at Valvoline Raceway. So there was plenty of action there, and well done to everyone. And it was just an awesome night. The night had no dramas, so there was no, despite mechanical problems and all that, but there was no issues there with the meeting one. Ran feverishly there. Sorry, just watching a ball come through. Cricket, it's not really exciting. But yeah, just mainly defensive so I don't get hit with the ball. So with that, so Valvoline Race, so well done with everyone. It was a great night, raised a lot of awareness and money for everyone. So yeah, for breast cancer research and awareness and that. So then we had further down south, we had Mount Gambier's Borderline Speedway, so it's the first appearance for the sprint cars. Obviously, this season's Australian 410 sprint car title is going to be held there, and that's the first time since 1995 that the Australian title is going to be held there for open sprint cars. So on this occasion, it was the 4th round of the Eureka Garages and Sheds series, and it was, surprise, James McFadden and Jamie Veal fighting it up the front. Both of them started on the front row, but J-Mac was able to get the edge aboard the Western Australian number 17 Monty Motorsport car. So he ended up collecting the win. That was back-to-back wins from as many starts for McFadden and the Monty Motorsport team. So James was controlled the pace out in front. Veerley done his best, but had to settle for second. Glenn Sutherland, the local, who picked up his first 410 sprint car feature race last season, he completed the podium in third. Fourth was Corey McCulloch, a very consistent start for the Warrnambool-based racer. He's ran 4th, 3rd, and I think he ran 7th at the jackpot, and now he got 3rd in the Victorian title, and he got 4th on this occasion. So certainly a strong start for Corey and the budget team, so well done. Stephen Lyon started from position 12, didn't qualify as well, so position 12 consequently, was able to move forward and ended up 5th. Rusty Hickman, another impressive performance by the youngster. It's hard to believe that he's 17. He's nearly 18 now, but he's certainly doing well, mixing it with guys that have got a lot more experience than him. There's, Veerley, McFadden and all those guys have been racing a long time, but for Rusty to be up there and racing amongst them, and it's great to see. Aidan Hall, the recently dethroned Victorian champion, he started from position 5, ended up 7th behind Hickman. Jai O'Keefe, once again, consistently plugging away and getting his confidence back. He's running consistently in the top 10, and he picked up an 8th spot finish. 9th was Dennis Jones, and 10th was Peter Dukas, who come out of position 18 after transferring out of the B mains. So it was a pretty relatively uneventful night. The cream obviously rose to the top at Borderline Speedway, but obviously they had nearly 50 nominations, so it was a great event. Also on the program was the South Australian Formula 500 title. That was the rerun from last season's title. I've got all my notes here, so I can go. That's what I read from. I don't have a teleprompter or anything like that, because this is raw and live, and there will be mistakes with that. Not in the results, but I'm pretty good with that. Just everything else. So South Australian title, that was last season's event. Unfortunately, it was rained out last season, but this is the rerun, and it was Dion Bellman from Warrnambool. He picked up yet another state title. I think he won he won earlier this season, or during the off season, the NT Formula 500 title at Darwin's Northline Speedway. So with that, second was Shane de Hooven, and third was Jack Bell. so another Warrnambool-based racer. So Shane de Hooven, that was probably his best drive that he's had in Formula 500. It's been racing for about 10 years now, but well done to Shane and the team. Jack Bell was third. Jock Goodyear once again ended up fourth. He ran fourth at the previous weekends. Jack Wilshire Cup on this occasion ran fourth again, the Tasmanian youngster. So yeah, well done Jock with that. And Bradley Stell, he was the best of the South Australian based racers. He ended up in fifth. So that completed all the racing there. Now we're going to go to, making sure all my notes don't get blown away. We're going to Brisbane's Archerfield Speedway. So that's in Queensland. And that was round 5 of the East Coast Logistics Series for the 410 sprint cars. And that was a twin feature race format with that. So both feature races would run over 20 laps. The first feature race was Mitchell G for the Titan Racing team. He still qualified on pole and brought home the win. Second was Luke Oldfield, and third was Andrew Shirley. Fourth was Ben Hilda and Callum Walker. I was going to say Clayton, but that's his uncle. Callum Walker was fifth. And the second feature race was Cody Morosky. That's his first career win in 410 sprint cars. So picked up a strong win there, really confidence boosting win. Second was David Wellen in his best performance at Archerfield Speedway. Brent Kratzman, third place. Fourth was Luke Oldfield, and Mitchell G, the previous 20 lap feature racer, was fifth. So yeah, really good run there. With that, we've got another wicket falling in the cricket, so it's gone there. I didn't think I'd be so interested in cricket, but when it's in front of me, so just ignore me. Just listen to what I say, not what I do. Sort of thing. So in the support class, we had the development series, and it was Peter Plucker Campbell once again. Yeah, dominated proceedings in the development series for the 410 sprint cars. He picked up another win. Second was Chris Jennings, and third was Alicia Woods. So she put in another strong drive. It was also awesome to see the flag bearers for the Woods family. So there was Alan and Travis both racing in the open sprint cars, and Alicia running in the development series, and all three of them were carrying the Australian flags for the national anthems. So with that, in the speed cars, which is the fourth round of the Polar Ice Series, it was Darren Vine. So he picked up his third win from 4 rounds. He was able to hold off the only driver that's picked up another round this season in Scotty Farmer, and Reid McKay was third. So a great result there for Darren Vine. He's certainly, since switching, updating some of his gear and just doing different, it's really coming to the fore. And yeah, and Scotty Farmer, once again, he's a youngster, doesn't have too much experience in speed cars. It's his first full season, but he's doing really well to pick up another podium finish as well. So yeah, in the other classes there was lightning sprints, and it was Aaron Kelly picked up a career first win for the youngsters. He recently completed high school, and yeah, he scored his first feature race win in the lightning sprints for this season. Jason Ray was second, another consistent runner, and Keith Blatch was third. In the AMCA Nationals, former Australian champion and current New South Wales and Queensland champion Matt Hardy, who drove to the win. Second was Steve Price, and third was Matt's dad in Russ Hardy. In the Ford versus Holden versus Sigma class, it was Ronnie Young who picked up the win. Second was Matt Hannigan, and third was Michael Laver. So that completed all the racing up there. Then we had Bunbury Speedway over in Western Australia. So that's Bunbury, for people that might not know. That is about 1.5 hours southeast of Perth. So yeah, with that, and then they held round 4 of the AHG series for 410 sprint cars. So that was known as the Grand Slam, and it was defending AHG series champion Brad Mialo who was able to go on and take the win. So Brad hadn't finished on the podium so far this season in the previous 3 rounds, but was able to put it all together and pick up the win. It was a tyre tearing. It was very abrasive, and you had to be really aggressive with lap traffic. But Brad was able to master the conditions coming from position 8 and go on to get the win. So hopefully he's looking to get his AHG Series defence back on track. Second was Jason Kendrick for the second week for the yet another second place for Jason. So he's working towards getting that win. He was close, but was unable to and had to settle for second. Daniel Harding, who's doing plenty of laps on home soil around Western Australia this season in the lead up to getting back on the Road World Series. He ended up third after coming from position 11. Kai Scroop finished off. That's his just off the podium in 4th. That was his best finish for the season. 5th was Jamie Oldfield. He started from pole position, but 5th was the best he could do in the Rod Howard WA number 51 car that is powered by a 410 sprint car, 410 engine now. Darren Mewett was 6th. 7th was Robert Mould. Michael Keenan, his first appearance back for the season. He was 8th, and that was on home soil. He started from the outside of the front row with Jamie Alford, and 9th was Jason Pride. So Jason didn't have the best run, and he was a round 2 winner of the ASG series. So yeah, but a good meeting nonetheless. The drivers were relatively happy with the track on the night. So in the support classes, we had the 3rd round of the WA Summer Series for super sedans, and Chris Pavlich picked up the win. That was his 2nd win for the season. He won the opening round. He was able to defeat veteran Gary Higgs, who won round 2 a fortnight ago, and youngster Lee Aylett, the 3rd generation race, that completed the podium in 3rd. In the wingless sprints, it was Chad Pittard who was wrapped to pick up the win. 2nd was Matt Ivanhoe, who done really well, and 3rd was Murray Hounsfield. Both Tom Payet and Daniel Hardigan were in the field. The best they could do, Payet ended up 6th, and 7th was Daniel Hardigan. So they didn't have the best runs on there. Then we go over to Murray Bridge Speedway in South Australia. They had the 3rd round of the All-Star 360 series, and the winner was former series champion in Brenton Farrer. Brenton Farrer has been fast all season, but he was able to get the job done. He qualified on pole position. 2nd was Mark Caruso, and 3rd was Brendan Guerin from Broken Hill. 4th was Chris Solomon. 5th was Paul Solomon, who won the previous round at Heartland Raceway. He started 5th, ran 5th. Cody Atkins put in one of his best drives to run 6th. 7th was Jarman Doltz. 8th was Corey Lincoln, and 9th was Daniel Evans, and 10th was Phil Locke. So with that, American Corey Eliason, he was making his first appearance for this season in the Adam Curry-owned car. He had put it on the outside of the front row alongside Farah, but was unable to get the job done, and unfortunately had it recorded a DNF. So that was unfortunate, but Corey no doubt will be better for the run heading into the new season to get some race meetings under his belt. In the support classes, wingless sprints, they had a twin feature race night. The first feature race was won by Jack McCarthy. 2nd was Aaron Dew, and 3rd was Matt Kennedy. In the 2nd feature, it was Matt Kennedy was able to get the win once again. 2nd was William Caruso in his best drive, and Michael Spoljaric was 3rd. Bit of a mouthful, some of these classes, some of these drivers in their divisions. So in the MK National, it was Darren McCarthy, the former Victorian champion and Mildura-based racer. He picked up the win. Jeremy Fenner was stoked with his result. That was his best finish for the season in 2nd, and 3rd was Leanne Turner. She put in a great drive to complete the podium in 3rd. In the street stocks, it was Nigel Reichstein, I think that's how you say it. He was the winner. Corey Sandow and Carrie Weston completed the podium. In the junior sedans, it was Nathan Fawn who drove away to the win. Aaron Tranter was 2nd, and Shani Pitcher was 3rd. So that completed all the racing at Murray Bridge Speedway. Speaking of Murray Speedway, they ran last night, and they had a jam-packed program with plenty of racing. And the headlining program was the King of the Ring for the V8 Dirt Modifieds. On this occasion, it was Tim Morse, the multiple Australian V8 Dirt Modified champion, who was making his first appearance with the Chiletto Motorsport team for the season. Obviously, he ran with them last season. He ended up driving away with the win. Mitch Randall put in a career best drive by bringing it home in 2nd, and Ray Claridge, the veteran, was 3rd. Terry Lidenvelt, one of the newcomers, he was 4th, and Ray Eggins was 5th. In the Formula 500s, that was the 5th round of the KRE Championship Series, and it was Liam Williams who picked up another win. He'd fresh off winning last weekend's Jack Wilshere Cup for the second season in a row. Tristan Johnson put in his best run for the season to run 2nd, and 3rd was Nathan Pronger. Fourth was Kurt Wilson. Kurt Wilson in only his second appearance in Formula 500s after, obviously, he's the current wingless sprint. Lightning sprint Australian champion. He was fourth, and Brim Upshall was fifth. In the junior Formula 500s, Brodie Davis from Cairns proved to be the best. Second was Bodie Smith in the points, and Taylor Prosser was third, so that was in the points. And the mod lights, it was Clinton Hansey, the current New South Wales champion. He scored the win. Terry Liedenfeld, who was doing double duties on the night with the V8 Dirt Modified, he was second, and Nathan Politich was third. In the micro sprints, it was Connor McCulloch who picked up the win. I saw on Facebook last night a unique way for Connor to celebrate winning, where he had the beer from off the wing, and it was kind of like a shoey bit of winging, I think you would call it, where he come off one of his crew were at the top of the wing, and they poured it down the side, and Connor was at the end of it with his mouth open drinking it. So it would have had a lot of baby oil, and so I don't think so, but hey, certainly unique. So if you want to say, go to Connor McCulloch's Facebook page, you'll see the video of that. It's quite funny. Second was New South Wales based driver Jason Summers out of Newcastle, and third was Shane Munro. In the nostalgic sedans, the best there was John Watson, and just getting attacked by flies, and Tony Gabolonski, I think that's how you say it, was second. In the junior sedans, you had top stars and new stars. In the top stars, obviously, a lot of, for next season's Australian title, going to be held at Maryborough Speedway. For the junior sedans, Artie Jonick scored a convincing win. Second was Casey O'Connell, and third was Curtis Peel. In the new stars, it was Ashley Moller, the local, the daughter of promoter Wayne Moller for Maryborough Speedway. Second was Brad Pascoe. It's only his fourth or fifth appearance in junior sedans. That's the son of Matt Pascoe, the multiple super sedan Australian champion. He was second, and Caitlin Field completed the podium in third. So well done with everyone there. Getting tongue-tied now. Alright, so we've got... just switching my notes over. Just bear with me. We had Grafton Speedway in Northern New South Wales. I need like a whole prop thing so I can just hold the camera on it. Usually I've got a seat that I could sit down and could have the actual stand to hold the phone, so I'm not actually holding it, but I'm actually having to hold the actual stand that I've got, which is a small little stand, so hopefully I can get a bigger one so I can hold the phone. My arm's getting sore now. But enough about me whinging. And Grafton Speedo, so it's the main sponsor there, Hesson's Auto Parts. So Andrew Firth, a great supporter of not only V8 Dirt Modifieds but the Speedo community in Grafton. And the V8 Dirt Modifieds, it was Joshua Rose who picked up his first wins for the Grafton Stampede. So a great result for young Josh. He's one of the many young talents that are coming through V8 Dirt Modifieds. Andrew Firth from Hesson's Auto Parts, the major sponsor of Grafton Speedo, and also a major supporter for Totally Speedo and what we do here. So thanks, Andrew, for your support. But he ended up second, and Jeff Rose was third. Trevor Willey was fourth, finished just off the podium, and Harley Wright, he had his best performance in V8 Dirt Modifieds, and as a lot of people might know or don't know, a couple of months ago I did an interview with Steve Wright. I think it was back in September, who's obviously battling cancer and all that, and we've done the interview with Wrighty at the hospital here in Sydney, and his son Harley is racing V8 Dirt Modifieds, and that was his best result. So hopefully that's good work, Harley, and good work. I want to send my best wishes to Steve and his family. Keep fighting, mate. I know you're a fighter, so with that. In the wingless sprints, the support class on the night, you had Andrew Gordon who picked up his first win. Second was Trent Martin, and third was Mason Cattell. And the RSA Street Stock was Nathan Fisher who drove to the win. James Corbett was second, so that's the father of Chris Dale Corbett, so they're V8 Dirt Modified racers. So he was making his first appearance in Street Stockers for 15 years and been back behind the wheels. So well done, James. He got second there, and Nick Duncan was third. In the National Fours, it was Nikki Youngberry, so she's a young lady that recently graduated out of junior sedan. She picked up the win. Second was Aidan Ware, so he's another junior sedan youngster, and he got second there, so he's the best drive there, and Max Marsden was third. In the production sedans, it was Aaron Hall who drove to the win. Chris Besling was second, and Madison Harkin was third. In the junior sedans for RSA junior sedans, it was Josh Boyd who drove to the win. Connor Reeves and Brock Youngberry was third. Brock Youngberry being the younger brother of Nicky Youngberry. So well done for the Youngberry family. So we had Carrick Speedway on Saturday night down in Tasmania. They had a strong field of classes ranging from super sedans to Tassie Sixes, Formula 500s, wingless sprints, AMCAs. So in the AMCA Nationals, it was current Tasmanian champion and the form driver Daniel Brooks. He drove to the win. Jake Briggs once again having a great season. He ended up second, and Rodney Bassett was third. And Andrew Dewey Ryder, who's obviously one of the main challenger for Daniel Brooks, he had a rare DNF. It rarely that Dewey Ryder has a DNF, but on this occasion, yeah, he had a DNF, was unable to finish. In the super sedans, it was Callum Harper, the former Australian National Super Sedan champion and current Australian late model champion. He drove to another convincing win in the super sedans. Second was Wayne Dillon, and third was Anthony Marion. In the wingless sprints, it was Wade Lello who scored the win. That was his best win in wingless sprints and his first one, so well done Wade for that. He scored a convincing win. Jacob Goodluck was second, and Bradley Walkley was third. In the Formula 500, it was Rick Wetherill who scored the win. Second was Dylan Beveridge, and third was Ben Harris. In the street stock, it was Corey Bald. What up, dog? As people that know Corey Bald, he calls everyone dogs. So with that, it's funny. When I did meet Corey, he didn't call me dog, but I wanted him to call me dog. So Corey Bald picked up the win in the SSA street stocks. Daniel Cunningham was second, and third was Nick Anderson. In the modified sedans, it was Trent Quilliot who scored the win. Brad Herbert, who was off the back of 3 wins in a row, he had to set off for second on this occasion. And that was... So Brad's now had 5 starts for 3 wins and 2 second places. Brad McKendrick, which is Brad's brother-in-law, Brad Herbert's brother-in-law, he was third. In the speed cars, a small field, and they got limited numbers. With that, the Mitchell Freeman was the best out of there. In the Tassie Sixes, they had a strong field. Dwayne Saunders scored the win. Second was Peter Johnston, and third was Jared Frankcombe. With that, so we're nearly getting to the end of this, but please guys, please like, comment, share. I really enjoy doing this. It takes a lot of effort and time to actually compile all these results, especially on a Sunday morning, so to get all these results. So Avalon Raceway in Geelong in Victoria, they had the Beasley Fairmead Memorial. That was the annual event, the 27th running for the speed car class, and it was Dane Kingshot driving for the Manders Motorsport team what drove away to a convincing win. It was cut short due to a couple of accidents, and then 26 laps were completed. Second was Caden Brown from Sydney, the youngster once again. Todd Wigsell had his best run since stepping into speed cars. He was third, and fourth was Robert McKay from Queensland, from New South Wales, sorry. Defending champion Matt Jackson, who was driving for Tim Fisher in the Victoria number 23 car, he was unable to defend his Cole Beasley crown. And also Nick Parker, he was having a good run running up the front there in the early stages of the feature, but then towards the middle stages he suffered power steering failure, battled his best, but was unable to hold on, and unfortunately had to crashed out of the running. So with that, staying in Victoria, we had Swan Hills Sonic Speedway in Victoria, so that's in the Mallee area of Victoria. So that's in where would you say that? Sorry, I'm just attacking flies, so I'm using my notes as a fly squatter. So the Mallee, that's more of your... So I'm just trying to think in terms of where you would have in Victoria. So the Mallee would be like northwest. I think it's northwest of Victoria. That was the third round of the Victorian Late Model Series. And Cameron Pearson, the youngster, he's won the opening 3 rounds now. He won the opening round at Alexandra. Then the last weekend at Rosedale Speedway, picked up another win. So 3 from 3 for Cameron Pearson. He defeated Kristen Vermeulen from New Zealand, so she picked up back-to-back second places. She was wrapped with that and driving really well. So speaking to her after we did a story on her earlier in the season, her goal was just to get one podium, and now she's got back-to-back. So yeah, a win might not be too far away for her. Graham Fort was third, and Queenslander Brett Watson was fourth, and Brock Edwards, who finished third in the previous round, he completed the top 5. At Kalgoorlie International Speedway, the Goldfields of Western Australia, the sprint cars, Ray Leonard, the local, there's only a small field, so he picked up the win there. In the production stands, once again a very small field, Jacob Potts scored the win, Jeff Powell was second, and the street stocks, Jack Barnwell drove to the win, Evan Wakefield, one of the form drivers in Kalgoorlie, was second, and third was Hamish McAlpine. In the junior sedans, they had very strong fields, so you had the top stars, and that was Dylan Parks, who scored the win. Braden Southwell was second, and third was Blake Webb, so that's the second round of the Country Cup Series for junior sedans. In the new stars, it was Kane Della, who scored the win. Brendan Buzzan was second, and third was Jai Pack. So yeah, well done for everyone there with that. Then we've got... Sorry, my arm is going really numb. Bundaberg's Carina Speedway in Queensland. They had the modified sedans. It was Tim Atkin, the current Australian number 2 in modified sedans. He scored the win. Brenton Scott and Peter White completed the podium. In the production sedans, it was Frank Packer who drove to the win. Tim Smith, the current Queensland and New South Wales number 2 for production sedan, was second, and third was Andrew Beaton. In the street stocks, it was Fletcher Smith who scored the win. In the V8 non-wing sprints, it was Clinton Marcone who drove to victory. Second was Brandon Parker, and Jason Pinelchili, I think that's how you say it, was third. At Barnsdale Speedway in country Victoria, the Standard Saloons, they had the Standard Saloon 400 event. It was Shane Stewart who drove to the win. Obviously not the World of Outlaws star Shane Stewart, but Standard Saloon Shane Stewart. Second was Scott Roberts, and third was Daniel Stewart. In the junior Standard Saloons, it was Darren Adams who scored the win. Jack Yeomans was second, and third was Brad Morgan. In the Division 2 Hot Rods, it was Scott Laidlaw who scored the win. Shane Uprichard, weird name, was second, and third was Jordan Haley. I was trying to get the results, and that's what the importance of transponders, you know, like we had some glitches with a number of them trying to get results. So I was unable to get results for VSC sprint cars and also limited sportsmen. It's interesting to note the VSC sprint cars, they got Jory Hoskestra from Tasmania. He's racing there and doing really well. Racing there. There's a number of newcomers that have stepped into VSC sprint cars and getting some laps there. So well done with that. So then we've got... So we had Collie Speedway in Western Australia. They had the production stand, was the second round of the Southwest Championship. Barry Rose scored the win, so that's back-to-back round wins for Barry Rose. Second was Wayne Livingston, and Richard Nelson was third. In the modified sedans, it was Rod Massara, who's obviously known, a former Australian production sedan champion. He defeated a small field there. Second was Shane Dublin, and third was Anthony King. In the street stock, Paul Briggs scored another win. Second was Luke Fraser, and Cody Avens was third. In the junior sedans, Nathan Carter drove to a strong victory. Tyler Fraser and Matthew Thompson completed the finishes, completed the podium there. So yeah, that completes everything, guys, for today's weekend wrap. But thanks for tuning in. My arm's going numb now, but I won't complain. I used to dream of doing this, so for actually having people that want to listen and actually listen to what I say, it's quite humbling. So yeah, so guys, thanks again. Please like, comment, share. Really appreciate the support. And to other clubs trying to some results, they're just not readily available. So there was a couple of events that I'd like to cover, but simply just didn't have the results. Like they just weren't readily available. So for transponders or anything like that. So, but this. Yeah, it just needs to be improved. We need to have results because people want results now, sort of thing, not having to wait a week or something to see it in print. So, yeah, with that. So that completes today's show, or whatever you want to call episode. Whatever you want to call it. I'll be back on Wednesday night for the Q&A. But in the meantime, yeah, please like, comment, share. Really appreciate the support, guys. And yeah, I'll see you on Wednesday night. See ya. Bye.